Hey folks, burning questions about Nottoway Plantation.
Archaeodeathlings, the academic and professional responses to the Nottoway Plantation fire that I've seen have been often feckless, if not deeply irresponsible. Archaeology Professor Howard Williams here, and I'm not referring to the broader public reaction, which is both understandable and in many cases fully justifiable and seen as deserved that the building has gone up in flames.
Archaeodeath, a public archaeologist of considerable renown, always brings a valuable comparative eye if you don't follow him do, and he's on all the platforms where the cool kids are. He raised this question about takes on the burning of Nottoway Plantation House on May 15th, suggesting that while undoubtedly a symbol of horrific oppression, the structure itself also represented material evidence of the enslaved people who created it. Fair enough. I'm just trying to figure out whether I'm feckless or if I'm deeply irresponsible. But either way, I'm your Huckleberry. To be clear, 155 people were incarcerated at the Nottoway forced labor camp, which operated as a sugar plantation, the nastiest work among a world of nasty work, when they built that house for their white enslavers in 1860. His point, which I hope I am not butchering, but I strongly suspect that he'll tell me if I do, was that their craftsmanship, their labor, their history, all of it embodied in that very structure, as much, if not more than, the white people who lived there. And it's now also lost, regardless of how that history was being twisted or misrepresented by the site itself. One article mentioned that Nottoway's website made no mention of enslaved people, and another historian noted that after a visit that only a single placard on slavery which claimed enslaved people were treated well. This is a perspective that many American public historians, especially black public historians, and me, engage with and often dispute. Our counterpoint tends to be that these sites, particularly the Big House, are so overwhelmingly symbols of oppression, built by people compelled under the constant threat of violence, that they can never be anything but that. Regardless of the skill involved, to center the mansion house experience in any way, even to focus on the builders, risks drawing attention away from the brutal totality of their lived experience, and therefore what they made of their lives despite those circumstances, and instead highlighting aspects tied to the enslavers' wealth, to their power, and critically, to their control. Look how long the drapes were. They enabled them to puddle on the floor as a demonstration of how much money they had. Ugh. That's what makes the work of places such as Whitney Plantation, just up the river road in Louisiana, so valuable. They are the exception that proves the rule. Whitney decenters the mansion house as the definitional core of the lived experience of enslaved people and rebuilds the richness of their broader world. But the argument follows that a plantation house like Nottoway, in this context, functions much like a Leni Riefenstahl propaganda film. Propaganda will always operate as propaganda, especially when the heritage industry effectively keeps replaying those films by centering the mansion and its narratives. But these are the deeply nuanced questions about race, memory, and the legacies of slavery that are central to understanding American history, the broader American context, and questions I anticipate that I'll be engaging with in my upcoming work at a Center for American Studies that is not in Baltimore. From a distance, some of these specific American historical weights can be interpreted quite differently, but to understand America in any way, you have to understand them. That's why my first assignment to any new student who comes across me is going to be read James Baldwin, then let's talk. But these are valuable discussions, and Professor Williams characteristically opens a crucial door for a broader discussion within public history and public archaeology, and that means all of you. It also underscores the real value of bringing comparative perspectives to bear, drawing from different disciplines and experiences across diverse human geographies. So I want to throw all this open to you. When a physical structure is an undeniable symbol of profound oppression, but also holds material evidence of the labor and skill of the oppressed, how do we weigh its meaning? Is the loss of the physical structure primarily a loss of a symbol of oppression? Or does it also irrevocably erase part of the material history of the enslaved people who were forced to create it? And can these two realities be reconciled in public history practice? And if so, you tell me how. So the debate about how to interpret, preserve, or deal with sites of enslavement, sites of conscience, like plantations, is very real. It's ongoing, and it's complicated within public history. Not complicated so that we can't really understand it, but complicated that it takes more than 10 seconds to unpack. Within public history, public archaeology, museum studies, and most importantly, among descendant communities. That's who it really matters to and for the most, and whom we need to grant a great deal of deference in these questions. But the broader discussion about what is lost when such structures are destroyed, whether by neglect or disaster or deliberate action, versus the harm they perpetuate as symbols, are central to these discussions, and they operate with considerable harm in the modern American context. So these are questions that have mostly been explored by the incredible public historians who work at broader sites of conscience, at memorials of former concentration camps in Europe. So I'm going to tag a few of them here to get their thoughts, with a specific shout out to the Neuengamme Memorial folks who do this better than almost anybody. And of course, I'm also going to tag the Dean of our Digital Media History Department, Dr. Cox, who has forgotten more about critical public history around things like Confederate monuments than I am ever going to know. And I think we all look forward to your thoughts on this.